I organized a dinner for coworkers, but the biggest freeloader in the office tried to leave without paying. She had no idea who she was messing with. Every time we have a dinner with split bills, Vanessa always finds a way to slip away after stuffing herself. She fakes feeling sick or suddenly remembers something urgent. If someone asks her to pay her share, she gives a sideways glance and replies, "We all ate, didn't we? Why should I pay more? We all breathe the same air too, right? Why don't they charge for that?" And of course, since she has important connections, no one wants to get in trouble with her. Most just swallow their frustration. Since I was new, I offered to organize a company dinner and suggested splitting the costs. Vanessa took advantage of the situation, ate everything, and then tried to avoid paying. She even faked a seizure to get out of it, thinking I would let it slide. But I smiled. She had no idea who she was dealing with. I'm not one to back down. "What a horrible meal," Vanessa complained while still stuffing another bite into her mouth. "It's something my mother spent weeks preparing just to send it to me from Seville," Mariana replied, eyes fixed on the empty containers in front of a stunned Vanessa. Vanessa scoffed and wiped off a bit of what was left. "You didn't say I couldn't eat it," she retorted. Mariana's face tightened and her eyes began to fill with tears. "I offered it for you to taste, not to eat all of it," she replied, starting to cry. Vanessa raised an eyebrow with disdain. "Seriously? Over a little food? I'll pay next time. And honestly, it wasn't even that good." "I can't believe you're crying," she added in a cutting tone. "People are going to think I bullied you or something." I had set my laptop aside and caught the end of the argument. Curious, I asked the colleague next to me, "Why is she crying?" My colleague rolled her eyes toward Vanessa before answering, "You're new, so you wouldn't know, but Vanessa always pulls tricks to get free stuff. Everyone tries to keep their distance from her." "Mariana is also new, just moved from Granada," she explained. "She went to great lengths to buy those traditional snacks from her hometown. Even her mother made and shipped them." Mariana wanted to be kind and let Vanessa try a little, and she just devoured everything and then criticized her mom's cooking. Another clearly upset colleague chimed in, "Next time she'll say she never pays anyone back. If she's not freeloading, she's cutting corners." Mariana kept crying while Vanessa shouted over her, "You're crying over some snacks? Seriously? You sound like a country bumpkin. You can't even handle more than 3 dishes in a proper meal." Mariana fell silent, stunned by Vanessa's outburst, cheeks still wet. That was enough. I wanted to step in, but Director Collado called me to take some documents to his office. When I returned, everyone had already dispersed. At lunchtime, a colleague mentioned, "I'm ordering takeout. There's a discount code if anyone wants to use it." He gently tapped my desk and asked politely, "Hey, I saw you haven't eaten yet. Want me to order something for you?" I looked up from my work. "Sure, thanks. Let me know how much and I'll send you a Bizum." He smiled and said we'd sort it out later. When he used the code, Vanessa rushed over with a big smile. "Lucas, I haven't eaten either. Can you order something for me too?" Lucas didn't respond and simply walked away. Vanessa scoffed. So stingy. Someone nearby challenged Vanessa, "How many times have you borrowed food from Lucas? Have you ever paid him back? Give it a rest." Vanessa huffed, "I carry a Chanel bag. You think I need to scam him for takeout?" She went back to her desk, but soon stood up again and called out to Lucas, "Come on, order something for me just once more. I swear, when I owe you 1,000 euros, I'll pay it back." Lucas didn't even turn around. When the food arrived, everyone took their orders except for one that had no clear owner. Vanessa seized the opportunity and started eating it. When Lucas returned, he tossed a contract on her desk. "You took my food without permission." Vanessa laughed, "I saw it just sitting there and didn't want it to go to waste." Lucas replied, "Taking something without permission is theft. That cost 20 euros. Send it to me by Bizum." Vanessa's eyes widened. "What proof do you have that it was yours? Besides, you used a discount code. It probably cost you nothing." Lucas, clearly angry, responded, "Vanessa, don't you feel any shame? Do you really have to take advantage every single day?" Vanessa rolled her eyes and mocked, "I wouldn't even care if you died, Lucas. And you don't even have 200 euros in your wallet. Don't talk to me. You bring bad luck." Lucas looked ready to respond, but Vanessa slammed her hand on the table. Do you know who I am? I have important connections. With a heroic air, I interjected, you have spinach in your teeth. The entire office burst into laughter. Humiliated, Vanessa stormed back to her desk and threw herself down so hard the remains of her food spilled into her Chanel bag. She shrieked, grabbed the bag, and ran to the bathroom. Jamie came over and thanked me, saying it had been ages since anyone had managed to rattle Vanessa. I offered him my lunch. I haven't touched it, and I'm leaving early anyway. Take it. Aren't you afraid Vanessa will come after you? I mean, she's got connections, a colleague commented. I shrugged and smiled, not my problem. I've got resources too. He whistled under his breath. Respect. On Friday, I wanted to get to know the team better and suggested going out for dinner. There's a new Japanese restaurant nearby. I know the owner and we can get a 50% discount. Everyone loved the idea. Alright, but everyone pays their own share, they insisted, to avoid appearing like they were taking advantage. Fine, but I'll order a few extra dishes to share, I said excitedly. Jamie was the first to raise his hand. I've wanted to try that place for a long time, but it's so expensive. With a discount, I'm in. Soon everyone confirmed. We can't miss this chance. I booked a private room for 10 people. At the last minute, Vanessa waved with an exaggerated smile. Add me too. I'd love to go. I hesitated but told her, only if you pay your share. Her face tensed but she forced a smile. Of course. You think I'm the kind of person who doesn't pay? I'll definitely pay. Jamie leaned in and whispered, don't trust her. She always says she'll pay but makes excuses or gets sick or leaves early. She never pays. Really? I raised an eyebrow. And you let her get away with it? He shrugged, resigned. She owes me about 500 euros in lunches, but I can't risk my job confronting her. I just smiled. Don't worry. Today I'll get your money back. When we got to the restaurant, I handed out menus so everyone could choose. Even with the discount, the prices were still high, so everyone chose carefully. Vanessa, however, skimmed the menu and ordered the most expensive items, lobster, a bottle of sake. The others exchanged incredulous glances. What is this? Vanessa, this isn't free. Why are you ordering all that? She shrugged and replied casually, what's the problem? I'm going to pay my share. Don't be so stingy. The others looked at each other, irritated. I raised my hand to calm them. Vanessa promised to pay. Everyone enjoy the meal. I'll cover any extras. When the dishes arrived, Vanessa was the first to dig in, piling food onto her plate before anyone else had a chance. Vanessa, could you be a bit more considerate? We're all supposed to share, someone commented. She bit into a red shrimp and replied, do you have broken hands? No one's stopping you from eating. Seriously? Someone slammed the table. She crossed her legs with disdain. Who do you think you are? Who are you to tell me what to do? The dinner turned tense. When the meal ended, Vanessa clutched her stomach dramatically. I need to use the bathroom, she said, trying to slip out. I calmly blocked her. Pay first. She looked around, feigning outrage. You think I'd run off over a few coins? I'm serious. My stomach is killing me. She pointed at her bag on the table. My stuff's right here. I returned to my seat, and she rushed out. Everyone knew she wasn't coming back. Jamie muttered under his breath, I'll go after her. I held his arm with a confident smile and said, no need. She's not going anywhere. He looked at me confused but decided to trust me. The room was filled with tense silence, everyone watching the door through which Vanessa had just exited. For a moment, no one knew what to do. I stood up calmly and called the waiter, asking for the bill to be split among those present. While the waiter brought the invoice, I walked over to the purse Vanessa had left on the table. Without hesitation, I opened the zipper, and as I expected, it was practically empty. No cards or wallet, just a lipstick and some keys. Predictable, I murmured. I took the keys and held them up in the air. Does anyone know which car is Vanessa's? I asked aloud, drawing everyone's attention. Jamie raised his hand, still not fully understanding what I was planning. It's the black sedan parked in front of the restaurant, he replied with a smile. I put the keys in my pocket and returned to my seat. By then, the waiter had arrived with the bill. I split the amount proportionally, but I added all the expensive dishes Vanessa had ordered to her share. I made sure to be detailed. "Here it is," I said, handing out the receipt for everyone to see. "This is what each person owes. Vanessa's portion is highlighted here." People around began to murmur, annoyed by her audacity. Jamie was the first to react. "But she's clearly not going to pay. You know that, right?" "I know," I replied calmly, "that's why we're going to take care of this now." I stood up again and went to the restaurant manager. I explained the situation clearly, assuring him I would pay the entire bill but that I had a way to track Vanessa to collect her share. The manager, understanding and probably used to handling complicated situations, agreed to help me. Meanwhile, I asked the others to continue enjoying their dessert. I left the restaurant with Jamie and went to Vanessa's car. I used the keys I had taken to open the trunk, and to my surprise, I found several bags from expensive stores, all with luxury brand tags. "This is truly unbelievable," I commented, showing the bags to Jamie. He was clearly impressed. I took some photos of the bags and the car's interior as evidence, then closed everything up again. We returned inside, where our colleagues were still talking about what had happened. About 20 minutes passed until Vanessa finally reappeared. She walked in hurriedly with a fake pained expression. "Guys, sorry for the delay," she said, holding a hand to her stomach. "I had an emergency and had to run to the bathroom on the other side of the building." "How convenient," I replied, smiling. I placed the bill in front of her, highlighting the amount she owed. Vanessa froze for a moment, clearly unsure of what to say. "Oh, I forgot my wallet at home, but don't worry, I'll pay tomorrow, I promise." No one believed her excuses anymore. By then, even the most timid were visibly upset. "No, Vanessa, you're going to pay now," I insisted, my voice firm. She began to raise her voice, as she always did when trying to intimidate others. "How dare you doubt me? I am a respectable woman. Don't you all know who you're dealing with?" "We know very well," I replied, keeping my tone steady, "and we know you're used to dodging your responsibilities. But today, that's not going to happen." I raised my phone and showed her the photos of the luxury bags in her car's trunk. "Recognize this?" I asked. Vanessa turned pale. She looked around, searching for an ally, but no one supported her. "How dare you go through my car? That's an invasion of privacy," she yelled, trying to deflect attention. "Invasion? Maybe. But the evidence speaks for itself. If you can spend that much on bags, you can certainly pay your share of this dinner." At that moment, Vanessa realized she was cornered. She tried a few more excuses, but no one was willing to listen. Finally, she huffed in frustration and pulled out her phone, transferring the money. "There, done," she shouted, while everyone around looked at her with disapproval. "Thanks," I replied with a smile. Vanessa stormed out of the restaurant, stomping her feet. But now everyone knew who she truly was. After that, the night continued peacefully, and many of my colleagues thanked me for finally putting Vanessa in her place. At the end of the night, Jamie approached me before leaving. "You were amazing. I don't think anyone else would have had the courage to do what you did." I smiled, feeling satisfied. Sometimes all we need is someone who's not afraid to stand up to those who take advantage of others. And that day, I was that person. After that dinner, I thought Vanessa would stay quiet for a while, but I underestimated her ability to create drama. It didn't take long before rumors started circulating around the office. At first, they were subtle comments. "I heard Vanessa is upset about what happened," or "she said she was humiliated at the restaurant." Gradually, the whispers grew louder. Vanessa, as always, was twisting the situation to her advantage. But I knew she wouldn't let it go. One day, Jamie came over to my desk with a serious look on his face. "I need to tell you something," he said, pulling a chair and sitting beside me. "What happened?" I asked curiously. "Vanessa is telling everyone you were unfair to her. She says you went too far, that you know she's going through financial hardship, and that real friends would never have put her in that position." I laughed, shaking my head. Now she's trying to play the victim? I'm not surprised. "That's not all," Jamie continued, glancing around to make sure no one else was listening. "She's planning something for the next group gathering. I heard she wants to get in front of everyone, pretend again that she can't pay, and try to publicly humiliate you." My expression hardened. This was too much. Not only was she trying to escape her responsibilities, now she wanted to use me as the target of her manipulations. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "Thanks for the heads up, Jamie. I'll take care of it." I spent the rest of the day thinking about how to handle the situation. I knew Vanessa had a pattern of behavior, but this time I wouldn't let her control the narrative. I decided to prepare. Over the next few days, I gathered all the evidence I could: screenshots of old messages where Vanessa confirmed she would pay but never did, photos of the luxury items she flaunted on social media while claiming to be struggling financially, and even conversations with other colleagues who complained about her behavior. My goal wasn't to attack her personally but to show the truth. The day of the gathering arrived. This time we met at a more casual bar with an outdoor area. I arrived a bit early, determined not to be caught off guard. Soon, colleagues began to arrive, and Vanessa showed up last, as always, with an exaggerated smile on her face. She greeted everyone like nothing had happened, but it was obvious she was watching my every move, waiting for the right moment to act. As drinks and appetizers were served, she started making her usual comments. "Today I'm just having water. Money's tight, you know how it is. But don't worry, I promise to pay next time." She glanced at me sideways, as if trying to gauge my reaction. I let her continue, waiting for the right moment. After a few minutes, she finally made her move. What happened at the last dinner was very uncomfortable. Some people here, she paused, looking straight at me, need to understand that not everyone has the same financial situation. It's easy to judge when you're in a comfortable position. Some colleagues shifted uncomfortably in their seats. It was obvious she was trying to manipulate the situation. But before she could continue, I raised my hand to indicate I wanted to speak. "Vanessa, I'm glad you brought this up," I began calmly, "because I think everyone here deserves to know the full context." I took out my phone and connected it to the bar's projector, something I had arranged in advance, and began to show the screenshots and evidence I had gathered. "Here is the record of the times you confirmed you would pay and never followed through. Here are the photos of the bags and luxury items you show off on social media while claiming you can't afford even a drink. And here are the conversations with other colleagues who also mentioned the debts you racked up with them." The room fell completely silent. Vanessa, visibly uncomfortable, tried to interrupt. "This is an invasion of privacy. You had no right to do this." "Actually," I replied firmly, "I have every right to defend my reputation. You tried to slander me, but now everyone can see the truth. This isn't about financial hardship, Vanessa. It's about respect and responsibility." Some colleagues began murmuring among themselves. Jamie was the first to speak up. "She's right. How many times has Vanessa done this to all of us? It's always the same excuse." Others began to nod. "It's true. She always disappears when it's time to pay and then tries to play the victim." Vanessa tried to justify herself, but the group's indignation was stronger. One by one, they began expressing their frustration with her behavior. "We can't keep allowing this kind of behavior," one colleague said. "If she wants to live a luxurious life on social media, she can pay for it herself. But we're not responsible for funding her choices." Finally, the consensus was clear: Vanessa would no longer be invited to group events. It wasn't a decision made out of spite but out of exhaustion. Vanessa stormed out, slamming the door behind her, and for the first time, the entire group breathed a collective sigh of relief. Jamie came up to me at the end of the night. "You handled that brilliantly. I think we all owe you a thank you." I smiled, feeling relieved. Sometimes, the truth is all we need. That night, the group was finally freed from the weight Vanessa always brought with her. And even though I briefly wondered if I had been too harsh, I reminded myself that I'm not anyone's mother to be putting up with those attitudes. If it had been an occasional and sincere situation, we all would have helped. But constantly taking advantage of others is something I simply cannot tolerate. Was I too harsh?